This is a video response to Daro2096's unscholarly work of his interpretation of Daniel chapter 8 and my video, Seventh-day Adventist Fatal Mistakes. And I want to remind Dario and all the SDA listeners and all the viewers again that Dario had an opportunity to debate me face to face, but he refused to do it. And putting up unscholarly work like he just put up in a response to my video, I can see why he would not go in a room full of people and debate me. The debate would have been over in 5 minutes because they would not have sit there and listened to such unscholarly work and guesswork and misinterpretation of an entire chapter of the book of Daniel, very long, without ending that debate. All he has basically done in responding to my video is show his hatred for the Catholic people and for the Catholic Church. Dario, you had an opportunity to debate me on this. You refused. But let's get to the heart of his video now. What you're seeing here is a failed prophetic chart used by William Miller, Ellen White, and early pioneers of the Seventh-day Adventist organization. If you look at the dates on here and look at Dario's video, the dates come off this chart are the dates he uses in his video. He is using the same failed prophecy that Ellen White and other pioneers have used. This is failed prophecy. Now he wants to talk about Ellen White not being a false prophetess. Well, let me remind you something, Dario and other Seventh-day Adventists and the viewers. Ellen White, after Jesus did not return on March the 24th of 1843, made this statement in Testimonies Volume 1. Our hopes are now centered on the coming of the Lord in 1844. That's very clear. She is predicting the return of Christ in 1844 now. And mind you, this would have been March the 21st of 1844. He didn't come back. Whoops, let's change it again. So they changed it to October 22nd of 1844. And he didn't come back then. But that's not the end of it. As late as 1856, in May of 1856, she made another prediction about the return of Christ at a conference in Battle Creek, Michigan, which comes from Testimonies as well. So there is at least 4 occasions right there where she has failed in predicting the return of Christ. Now, I don't know how many times a prophet in SDA has to fail, but it only takes one in God's eyes. And she failed at least 4 times. So you need to get over this notion she wasn't a false prophetess. And this is the chart she used. This is the chart that is used by the SDA. And the dates off of this chart, this failed prophetic chart, are the same dates you use yourself. So we're talking about an organization that has been founded on a false prophetess, plain and simple. Now, another thing I want the viewers to know is that my video dealing with the fatal mistake of Seventh-day Adventists also dealt with the word day, which should be evening and mornings, in Daniel 8:14. I want you to notice again in his video, he had an opportunity to deal with it, but he refused to deal with the word day because he knows that the word is not day and that it's evenings and mornings. Other Seventh-day Adventists have had the same opportunity to deal with that, but have refused to do that, just as Dario himself did. He jumped all around it, but he never dealt with the word day in Daniel 8:14. Now, he was quick to point out that the word sacrifice is not found in the original Hebrew text in Daniel 8:13, where it says daily sacrifice, that only the word daily is there. That's correct. So what? Why didn't you do this, Dario? Why didn't you also point out that neither is the word day in the original Hebrew either in Daniel 8:14? The original words are evenings and mornings. But you conveniently forgot to point out to people that the word day is not in 8:14 either. Why didn't you point that out to him, Dario? Because you knew that the word was evening and morning and not day? Why didn't you point that out to him? You had an opportunity to do it. Other Seventh-day Adventists have had an opportunity to do it. But you refused to deal with it. So you're being very deceptive when you say the word sacrifice is in 8:13 and then not be honest with the people and say neither is the word day in 8:14 either. Well, let's deal with the word tamid, or the word daily, in 8:13 for a minute. The word daily there, if you were looking at Greek concordance, is the word tamid, T-A-M-I-D. Now, a lot of people don't know what that is, and I guess that was what Dario was hoping, because Seventh-day Adventists just just blow this out of the water with their misinterpretation and trying to explain it to people, and a lot of people don't really know what it is. The word daily is the daily sacrifice, and the description of the daily order of the Talmud, the daily sacrifice service, is found in the Talmud or in the Mishnah. It's a 2nd century collection of Jewish laws, traditions, and practices that was based on early traditions. So the Talmud is described even to the point of what time it's going to be performed. The daily sacrifices are performed. If you would look in Talmud 3:2, it says this, and I quote, "The one appointed to give our roes and the offerings of the morning sacrifice, who must say to them, Go look upon the roof and see if the time to slaughter has arrived. If it had arrived, then the one who saw the sunrise would say, Morning has broken." So they knew then to begin the morning sacrifice, the daily, the Talmud. That is what it refers to. There were certain times of the day that at daylight they would tie the lamb into the temple or the sanctuary there, and then at 9 o'clock they would sacrifice the animal. The same thing for the evening sacrifices. At a certain time of day, around noon, they would tie the lamb in the temple or the tabernacle, whichever one they happened to be in at the time. And then around 3 in the afternoon, they would sacrifice it for the evening sacrifice. So the Talmud is described in the Mishnah itself as being the morning and evening sacrifices. Now you can tap dance around that all you want to, but that's straight from Jewish work that is performed. And to just say the daily doesn't mean sacrifices shows your total ignorance and Bible illiteracy into what you're trying to perform. In other words, the only thing you're doing it for is to attack the Catholic Church and the Catholic people by misrepresenting and totally misinterpreting what it's saying. The daily sacrifice is described in the Mishnah. The daily, the Talmud, is described even to the times that when you start it and the times that when you end the evening and morning sacrifices. Let's talk more about this vision for a minute. And notice another thing that Dario conveniently forgot to do. He listed the verses in which Kazan was shown, which is the vision being given. But then he talked about the word Murray being a partial vision. But you noticed when he uses the word Murray, he never gives you the verses that he used it from. Dario, why didn't you give us the verses that you used that from? Because you know that if you gave the verses it was used from, that you have even changed the word Kazan, which is the whole vision, to the word Murray. That's what you were going to do. The Lasbo's done the same thing. You're simply trying to dupe people because you didn't give the verses that you used that out of. And then let's look at this connection. He said there's a connection between Daniel chapter 8 and chapter 9. First of all, anyone with any Bible sense at all knows that the vision of Daniel chapter 8 ended in 826. Now what he tries to do is make a connection between chapter 8 and chapter 9. And he uses in there, and look at this, people, and I just couldn't help but laugh when I saw it. He says Daniel fainted, and then later Gabriel woke him up to give him this vision. Do you realize that Daniel chapter 8 is dated at 559? Daniel chapter 9 is dated at 539. So you have a difference of 12 years there. So Dario, are you trying to tell people that Daniel fainted and was out for 12 years? Is that what you're trying to tell us? That Daniel fainted and he was out for 12 years before Gabriel gave him the ending of a vision that had already ended in Daniel 8:26? No, you tried to make a connection because of that failed prophetic chart that I mentioned at the beginning. You tried to make a connection because that's all the SDA scholars know how to do. They're so Bible illiterate, they do not know how to interpret or handle those verses. You failed in what you tried to do. Again, I remind you, you had an opportunity to debate me on this, but you didn't do it. And you have failed at this. The only thing you have shown is your hatred and SDA hatred for the Catholic people and the Catholic Church. Until next time, this has been Golly saying, God bless.